President Biden embarking on his 4-day journey to the Middle East, much ballyhooed. First stop, Israel. President Biden showing respect to Israeli leaders, but both nations remain very divided when it comes to the divisive, dangerous Iranian nuclear deal, a deal that President Biden says President Trump made a gigantic mistake withdrawing from. Then he jetted over to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a country he once alienated by calling them a pariah nation, to meet with the Saudi crown prince to ask for oil. Keep in mind, this is the same crown prince who ordered the killing of independent journalist Ahmed Khashoggi because they didn't like his reporting. Nikki Haley, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, joins us right now. Nikki, help us understand these surprising foreign policy moves by the president. Didn't he realize when he called Saudi Arabia pariah, there would be something to answer for? Didn't he realize when he got into the nuclear deal that Israel would be against it? What's your reaction to the table he set?
You know, it's so interesting how wrong he continues to get foreign policy. And we're going to be dealing with foreign policy for the next 10 years because of all the failures that he's done. First of all, you know, going to Israel, you've got to understand that getting in the Iran deal is counter to their survival. And, you know, if you want peace in that region, the Iran deal is the last thing you need to be getting into. Then you have him going to Saudi Arabia. And it's unbelievable to me that he's going to Saudi to beg for oil when he should be begging our energy producers for forgiveness. We shouldn't ever go to another country to depend on anything. What he does need to make sure that he gets out of the Saudi visit is how we're going to counter Iran. This is a country that says death to America, and the region, all of the Arab countries know the dangers of Iran. Israel knows the dangers of Iran. It's like Biden's the only one that doesn't understand how dangerous this country is. They are the #1 sponsor of terror, and you're going to try and fall all over yourself to get into a deal with them.
And then out of nowhere, he says, I gave them the deal. It's up for them to decide if they want to take it. I'm not going to wait long. And most jaws drop thinking, when was that deal done? He didn't check in with the senators. He didn't check in with his own party. He just told us the deal's done. Well, if we're to believe some what we read, we're going to be giving them billions of dollars immediately and $1 trillion in 2030 if they stay nuclear free, as if we are to believe them. That's stunning. I mean, and it caught the attention of the interim prime minister of Israel and the president. Listen to the different ways they characterize what it's going to take to neutralize Iran.
I continue to believe that diplomacy is the best way to achieve this outcome.
Words will not stop them, Mr. President. Diplomacy will not stop them. If they continue to develop their nuclear program, the free world will use force.
Who's right?
I mean, it's amazing how naive Biden is acting. I mean, America is too nice. Too nice. Stop being nice to these thugs and these tyrants that want to kill us. What Israel is saying is you can't have diplomatic relations with a country that is saying death to America and death to Israel. The only way you stop a country like that, the only way you stop the Russias and the Chinas and the Irans and the North Koreas is with strength, not running from your own shadow. And so the idea that Israel is having to basically give Biden a lesson on, look at these guys. There's no way they're going to talk to you. The other side of it is this is Obama 2.0. The idea that he's thrown a deal out there without telling Congress, without being transparent to the American people, makes all of us feel more uncomfortable, but it puts the world more in danger. And I don't know why his team is allowing him to do this.
I haven't gotten confirmation, but the kicker would be is that Russia would be paid to take the uranium before it was weaponized to weapons grade out of the country, and then would be brought back if we ever try to get to the deal. So we would be hamstringing the future administrations in favor of Iran. It is insane. Lastly, Ukraine. I think the world is pulling for Ukraine. I think the president did the right thing here, but our allies are getting shaky. And some people here at home, with inflation at 9%, with spending it through the roof, are saying, for my $7.3 billion, can I get some accountability? Ambassador, how do you answer those concerns?
So I think, first of all, you understand this isn't a war about Ukraine. This is a war about freedom. And when we see a free country being threatened, we have to know that's a threat on all democracies. So I do not think we should be giving Ukraine blank checks. That's not our place. I do think if they ask for long-range missiles, you give them. If they ask for planes, you give them. And you make sure that the rest of our NATO allies are each doing their own part as well. It shouldn't just be the U.S., it should be the alliance. And the reason you do this, Brian, is because if Russia takes Ukraine, then they will go after a NATO country next. And that's a whole bigger responsibility. That's a war we don't want to get into. That's something that we don't want to do. So we just need to give Ukraine what they need in terms of arms and equipment, not in terms of checks and money. Other countries can do that, but I don't think America needs to do that.
Ambassador, always great to get your insight. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.